What's up, Blackhawks fans and rink rats everywhere in the Chicagoland area, as well as, wherever you are in the country. Welcome back to Season 8, Episode 9. We're here to talk about Anders Sorensen's first win and a lot of the things that are going on in the Blackhawks. I'm here with Sean Fitzgerald. Hello, Sean.
Good evening.
Good evening. And Jimmy O'Malley Esquire. What's going on, buddy?
Doing well.
Doing well. Awesome. Great. They've got more to say, folks. Trust me. But anyway, if you're living in the Chicago area and you're still unable to watch the Blackhawks, which a lot of people still are, you're able to watch and listen to us. So thank you for joining us tonight. At any rate, last time we were on, we had a brief podcast, very quick, over the weekend when Luke Richardson was fired by the Blackhawks, and Anders Sorensen has taken over, and the Blackhawks since then have skated to a 1-1 record. They lost to the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday afternoon, but last night, Anders Sorensen got his first NHL win in Madison Square Garden, which is actually really cool. Like, I don't know, if you're a new head coach and you get your first win in MSG, that's kind of a cool place to do it. So congrats to Anders Sorensen. And what was the game like last night? Did you guys watch, whether legally or illegally? And how'd you feel about it, Jimmy? How about the effort? Did you think there was a different pace there with Sorensen? And Hawks looked pretty decent last night. A lot of shooting.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really surprised me was how aggressive they were on the forecheck. They really did play a fast marathon game with New York, and that's usually New York style. But they came out with a win, and they played New York style better than them.
Yeah,
and that shocked me the most. I was really impressed.
Yep. Eric Andrews had the Blackhawks winning 3-1 last night, and we all kind of chuckled when he said that. They ended up winning 2-1. They didn't get the empty netter, but were you surprised last night, Sean? I mean, the New York Rangers are 2-8 in their last 10. They're pretty grim right now after they just recently traded Jacob Trouba, and you thought maybe that would wake them up a little bit, but the Hawks kind of had their way with them last night.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at the outcome, although the Rangers are in free fall. Like Jimmy said, I was impressed with the forecheck. Sorensen also is different from Richardson in that he plays a 2-1-2 forecheck as opposed to the 1-2-2. So that seems to be yielding more offensive chances, and he definitely gets the defense actively involved in the offensive game plan. I think there was a couple times where I think Vlasic was deep down, maybe even below the goal line. I believe there was once or twice. I was listening to the game in the car on the radio, and then I was watching through some not so official means. So, but yeah, it's good to see. And also, Sorensen is the first ever Swedish-born coach to win an NHL game.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, so congrats to Anders Sorensen. And I don't know, I'm hoping, I mean, even though they had 32 shots on goal, and even though it was only a 2-1 win, 2 goals is kind of the barometer right now for Blackhawks games. That's kind of just what they do. But a little bit more offense last night was good to see. Taylor Hall with 2 points last night. Bedard on the score sheet, which anytime Bedard is on the score sheet, you got a chance to win, I guess. And then the other thing, and I want to touch base on this, and we want to talk about Korchinski. We want to talk about the AHL and the future of the Hawks. But, Arvid Soderblom has been in 9 games this year. He's got a 2.41 goals against average. He is 2-6. Most of that is the team that he's on. But he's got a 92 save percentage. And Arvid Soderblom, who we've covered this before, we've kind of cast him away. Are we going to see more of him? He's a free agent, isn't he, this summer, Jimmy?
I could look that up real quick. Soderblom contract.
Well, and obviously with Mrazek out, he's the guy right now. You've got the 2 goalies are both out. Mrazek's out, and I can't even remember the other guy's name who we haven't even seen this year that they signed in the offseason.
Lawrence Brissant?
Yeah.
I believe. I'm sure that's wrong.
Yep.
Brossoit. So, Arvid Soderblom, he is a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason.
Well, good. So then if they want him back, they can get him back very easily. I don't think that'll cost a lot, and he's restricted, so he has very little rights, if any.
And I believe Eric Andrews pointed out in a previous pod, or maybe I'm just misremembering this, that Soderblom, I think if he has 5 starts, I think before last game, if he starts 4 more, he is no longer waiver eligible or waiver exempt. So if the Hawks wanted to send him down to Rockford,
Can't do
he'd
it.
have to pass through waivers. So obviously they're probably not going to do that when their goalies get healthy,
Right.
unless they I believe he can go down there on like an AHL conditioning assignment, similar to what they did with Antti Ranta a few years ago when they had the 3 goalies in Ranta. It was Darling, Crawford, and Ranta really wasn't playing. So they sent him down on a conditioning assignment. But I think that's the only way Soderblom, once everyone gets healthy, can go down to Rockford.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now, with Lauren, is it Brosseau? I think that's how you
I think
pronounce
it's Brossois.
Brossois. So with Lauren Brossois, how long he's been out? He's been out the entire season. And is there any timetable on him coming back?
It was 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He had a minor knee operation to start the year. I think he tore like his meniscus or something like that. And then it wasn't progressing as well as they thought it would be. So he had to have another knee operation. And they said 4 to 6 weeks from the second knee operation. Is what I thought I read.
Okay. So we shouldn't be expecting him anytime soon. Mrazek is out for a couple weeks, I believe. Probably should have done my homework on this before.
I thought they said a couple weeks. I thought that 2 to 3 weeks at least for him.
So now Drew Comesso is second in charge here. He's currently their backup goaltender. He had a tough start in Rockford, but Jimmy, he had a couple really good performances. His last couple times out, he played pretty well in Rockford, did he not? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, he's gotten better. He definitely started out pretty slowly, but he's really figured out his game. Hasn't really allowed those 4 or 5 goal games he had earlier in the season. I think, if I remember correctly, I think he did play December 4th against Lehigh Valley. I can't remember, but yeah, he's rounded out his game. The strengths that Dana talked about when he was on the show last are starting to show up, and his weaknesses have, been figured out.
Yeah, that's good. So Drew Comesso, second round pick in the 2020 NHL entry draft, one of 2 Blackhawk goalies, him and Adam Guyan, who's now Minnesota Duluth, who were kind of goalies of the future, both second round picks. So Drew Comesso, now he's 22 years old, full season in Rockford last year. After 3 years at Boston University, he was their starter there, and damn good goalie. And so now we're gonna get a taste of him. He'll probably get his first NHL start here in the next couple weeks. Will it be Thursday night against the Islanders? Who knows? Or they've got the Devils on Saturday. So 2 more road games in that tri-state New York area. And you might see Comesso in one of those. So that should be interesting. So the other thing, Kevin Korchinski back with the Hawks, where you got Alec Martinez went down with an injury on Saturday, and Korch now back up. Well, I don't know. I guess I was a little surprised. I didn't think he'd be the one called up. But it sounds like Sorensen's a big fan, now wearing number 14. And what do we think of Korchinski last night, Shawnee?
I thought Korchinski played really well. The play that probably stands out to everyone is when he skated one-on-one with Artemi Panarin.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Ben Pope referenced it in an article that I read earlier. The biggest thing, the difference from this year to last year, Korchinski had the speed to skate with Artemi Panarin, but this year he had the speed and the technique to cut Panarin off from getting to the net. The positioning was right.
Angling pretty well.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. He was playing with a lot of confidence. I think Ray Napientek of the Rink here has pointed out on podcast last year that he just didn't have any confidence. He was getting progressively worse at the NHL level last year. And Sorensen seems to have unlocked something with him down at Rockford this year. And at least for one game, it's translated into the NHL. He played 16, almost 17 minutes, didn't look too out of place, looked like he belonged. Where last year, you really couldn't say that for many games. So I thought it was a good start for him.
Yeah, me too. And Jimmy, you've been covering the Ice Hogs all season, and I think you mentioned that the last 3 weeks or so, or somewhere in that time frame, is when he's really started to pick it up and and start to look good. Were you surprised with his output last night and how well he played?
No, it really just looked like a continuation of what we've been seeing in Rockford. He's like Sean just mentioned, he's more confident, and he doesn't hold the puck. That was one thing he had last year. He kind of would hold the puck in the defensive zone and kind of freak out. But now he's just like, okay, I have the puck. I'm not going to hold on to it. Even if I make a turnover, I'm going to get it to the neutral zone so that there's a reset. And that's what we saw last night. So he's just doing the little things right. He's using the skill that he naturally has. And he's getting the brains to go along with it. He's making better positioning decisions. He's getting back on the back check. He's being aggressive on the forecheck. And admittedly, he did play protected bottom pairing minutes, but still, he was really impressive.
Yeah. No, I thought he had a good night. So that I guess that raises the next question. And, I think that the real hot ticket item, I think that is on the tip of the tongues of Blackhawks fans, right now more than anything is the pending arrival, which is only a matter of time, is what it seems like, of prospect Frank Nazar, the 2023 first round pick. I think it was 14th overall, 13th or 14th overall. I'll figure that out at some point. When the Hawks had Bedard and Nazar, or was he the draft before? I can't.
He was the draft before.
He was the draft before. Yeah, my bad. So he was 2022. Anyway, but Frank Nazar is second in scoring right now in the AHL, behind Vinny Hinostroza, former Blackhawk Vinny Hinostroza, now 30.
Blackhawks legend, Vinny Hinostroza.
Which now 30 years old, which is crazy to think about. But at any rate, I mean, his stat line, Frankie Nazar has 24 points. He's got 11 goals and 13 assists in his first 20 games. And so if you were looking at kind of a 20-game showcase, he's had it. The big question is now it's the big rumor that was out there is they were trying to clear waivers, have Joey Anderson clear waivers. And the rumor was for him to clear waivers and then be sent down and have Frank Nazar come right up and in time for the New York Rangers game. Joey Anderson did clear waivers, but then was in the lineup for the Rangers game, and we haven't heard about this really since then.
Well, they have. So if a player clears waivers, you have 30 days to send them down to the AHL.
Yeah.
So right. Joey Anderson could be here for a little. They could be. The fact that they sent Joey Anderson through waivers and cleared, they could be using those 30 days to have Frank maybe marinate just a little bit longer.
Yep.
Before the eventual move where Anderson goes down and Nazar comes up.
Yeah, it seems like it's only a matter of time. And Jimmy, you've covering Rockford. I mean, obviously he's been flying around. I mean, is it a matter of time? He's going to be coming up pretty soon. Will it happen before the new year? You thinking sometime after?
It really is up in the air. I can't get a gauge on it because he's going to continue to dominate in the AHL. There's no question about it. I think it really comes down to where Sorensen is going to put him the second he comes up. And the time they take between now and calling him up is really going to be time taken to just figure out where is he going to go. Is he going to go straight to that second line center position? Are we going to put him on the wing on the second line? Is he third line center? Like, where does he go? Are we moving Reichel back to the wing? And, stuff like that. I really do believe that is the question that the team's trying to answer. And another thing, I mentioned this in the chat, I think a couple days ago. Andreas Athanasiou is still out with a wrist injury. He's been out for 3 weeks. The expected timetable to get back was 4 to 6 weeks. Uh-huh. I have a feeling to go along with Anderson, they're waiting for Athanasiou to get back so that they don't lose that production in the top 6 from the Czar. They have someone with speed and ability in Rockford.
That's a good theory. Some good dots to connect there.
So back in two, Jimmy, when you were talking, what you said kind of sparked this in my head. In addition to figuring out where Frank Nazar is going to play at the NHL level, I think Sorensen is going to use this time to feel out what lines he wants to go with. Because as you saw in the last game, like Bedard played with Mikheyev and Hall, and
he's been
in the first start there was a different line, and in Luke Richardson's last start it was Bertuzzi and Teravainen. So we're still kind of doing the line blender thing here. And I think he's got to solidify where everybody else is going to go before you put another variable into the mix.
Yeah, and has Nazar been playing primarily on his strong side wing? Has he been playing on the right in Rockford?
No, he's center. First line center all season.
Yeah. Wow. Be interesting. Yeah, then I mean, is the idea for him to come up and play center right away? I don't know.
If that's the case, then maybe they wait until after the Winter Classic, because you don't want the kids. You don't want his first or second start this season, because he had a 2-game cameo last year, to be on national television, like the biggest national television game on one of the biggest amateur party nights of the year. I say amateur party nights because it is.
It's amateur party night.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah. New Year's is amateurs.
Yeah. So to wrap that kind of up, if I were a betting man, I'm genuinely not, but if I were a betting man, I think they're gonna wait until after New Year because they don't want him to be exposed in the Winter Classic. They want to figure out what the lines are in the NHL. They want Anthony Seal completely healthy so that the production of the top 6 in the Rockford isn't completely gone now, and they give guys like Doc and Slaggert a centerman that can help those two continue their development. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it is a matter of time, but I'm going to say post New Year's.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I like that. I'll take that. It is going to happen, though. It's definitely going to happen, and it's going to happen soon.
And I thought I read before we came on that Sorensen is kind of trying to, now that he's the interim head coach, kind of push for the Hawks upper management to bring up more of the kids sooner, just because of how well he's worked with them at Rockford.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. I mean it'll be interesting. I mean how much of a choice he has on that. Yeah. I mean that's Kyle Davidson's choice, and I don't know. Sorensen could push for that, and at the same time, I mean head coach Mark Eaton now of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Jimmy, do you have any concerns about this guy? I mean I think the one thing the Luke Richardson and promoting Anders Sorensen ordeal is kind of the only concern about it really was that Rockford was really starting to cook.
Yeah, and there's actually an article today that came out from AHL.com about Mark Eaton and this concern. As I mentioned in our emergency pod Thursday, Mark Eaton has been with the organization as long as Sorensen has.
Yeah.
So, and he's been in charge
of that different. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in charge. Although this is his first coaching experience, he's been in charge of player development. He's been the assistant GM. He's seen these guys for a long time. Like he's going into a situation where he's going to be in charge of guys he drafted, like guys like Nazar, Levshinov, Slaggert, Doc, like a lot of guys that he had his fingers on the pulse of the franchise when it came to drafting them.
Yeah. So
far, his first 2 games, they were back-to-back. They were on the road. He lost one in regulation against Hartford. I think it was 3-0 or 4-0. Then he lost a nail-biter to Springfield in overtime in a game that, honestly, they should have won in regulation. Springfield's goaltender just stood on his head.
Oh, really?
And they'll play again tomorrow. So he's had the last couple of days to kind of get more acquainted, but kind of got thrown into the deep end, but he basically kept Sorensen's system 2-1-2. So I don't think there should be an expectation of changing how things are done.
Gotcha.
They kept all the assistants like Klinkhammer. So I think Markin knows his role is just to keep the good times rolling.
Good. Well, and especially Artem Levshinov, his last maybe 5 games or so has really hit another gear. Mm-hmm. He's shown another, we talk about Korchinski's confidence, but Levshinov is, now he's contributing more offensively. His reads are a lot better. Mm-hmm. There's certainly a comfort level there to a certain extent. Is there a possibility that he comes up for a cup of coffee at all this year? Or are we kind of ruling that out and saying, let the kid stay there for at least the full year? Don't even let him touch Chicago. and then, because if there's other guys coming up, it might be more in the form of Del Mastro or some other guys down there. But I don't know, Jimmy, what do you think of that? Sean, what do you think of that? Jimmy, go first.
I'll go first. I don't know the thinkings of the front office in Rockford or Chicago.
I'm asking you to read minds, essentially.
Yeah, I am reading minds as best I can. I really would be shocked. Yeah. I mean, we were shocked that he didn't go back to Michigan State last year.
Yeah, I was really.
So who knows? But at the same time, it's a completely different thing when comparing like Levchinov being called up compared to Nazar and Korchinski. Korchinski, this is his second professional year. Nazar, he had his cup of coffee last year. He's doing great in Rockford.
Yeah.
For the strides Levchinov is making in the AHL, I don't think he can make those strides in the NHL. I think he would be exposed.
Yeah.
So I would hold off. I wouldn't even be shocked if the question of is he going to get his cup of coffee continues into next season. I really do think they might have a 2-year plan for him.
That would make sense. That'd be great. What say you, Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. I think the plan has got to be to keep him down there and let him develop this season. Like Jimmy said, Korchinski has already played. This is his 77th now. He's played 77 NHL games, and he's 20 years old. I believe Leshinov's only 19, maybe 20. Also, Frank Nazar is 23, and he played 3 years in college as opposed to Leshinov's only 1. So there's definitely still some development to be done on his part, I think, especially in terms of just playing hockey at a higher level. Like he went from the USHL, the Green Bay Gamblers, to Michigan State, then to Rockford in three
pretty big consecutive jumps there.
Right. So I think eventually he's going to have to, he's going to stagnate a little bit. And we kind of saw that after he came back from the injury. And now he's starting to build on that finally. And hopefully he can ride it out the majority of this year, building on that, and then go into next year, like Jimmy said, and continue to build. And then maybe we'll talk about more than just like a game or two call up or a cup of coffee if somebody gets hurt, because they still have other defensemen that they could call up. Like Korchinski's probably going to go down when Alec Martinez gets healthy. Yeah. I know he's going to get the start tomorrow against the Islanders, but what is it, a 3-4 game stint here before he goes back down?
Back pretty soon.
Yeah. So I don't think that Leshinov comes up. I think if anybody comes back up, it's Korchinski again.
Yep, could be. Or Del Mastro.
Del Mastro, who,
yeah.
Although there was an article,
stylistic,
very different. There's an article, and I haven't read it, by our friend Ben Pope of the Sun-Times. He wrote an article, and I have to get to it, and I apologize, about how Wyatt Kaiser and Ethan Del Mastro are in a difficult situation because they're both similar defensemen, and there's a plethora of, there's a $5 word there, of defensemen in the AHL with the Blackhawks. So they're going to have to define their roles, I think. I think that's what he was getting at with this article.
Yeah, I'm happy to define Wyatt Kaiser's role right now, and that's give him a first-class ticket to nowhere. Sorry, Wyatt. I'm unimpressed with Wyatt Kaiser, and I just don't know how he fits into the Blackhawks futures here. And so it's, sure, he has games where he's okay, but he still coughs up the puck. He's still making a lot of mistakes out there too. Defensively, he's a liability, and he's a defenseman. So I don't, I would love to see Ethan Del Mastro get a little bit of a shot. He plays with a little bit more grit, a little bit more toughness. Again, not our decisions to make here, but I agree with you and with Ben Pope, Sean, the sentiment of where do these guys stand?
Yep.
Are they just kind of in limbo?
Because I think the upper echelon of the defensive prospects is Korchinski, Leshinov. Maybe you throw Nolan Allen at the bottom of that because he's still in the NHL right now.
Yeah, and he's doing fine for a limited role. But I mean, again, I think when this team starts competing again, he's the Jordan Henry of the group. Yeah,
yeah.
He's probably, he could be the 7th defenseman when this team starts competing again if he's still around. But again, this all goes back to, or a lot of this goes back to, folks, this is why Levchinov was drafted.
Right.
So many people are still, they should have taken Demidov, and that was a silly move. They've got so many D prospects, but the D prospects that we have, I mean, you can't have too many D prospects. I mean, you never know who's going to pan out in this whole thing. And they don't have that number one defenseman.
It was less than 5 years ago where everybody was saying they were set on defense when they had Adam Boquist, Nicholas Beaudin.
Yeah.
There's some other names I can't even think of off the top of my head. They're just all out of the organization, and some of them are barely hanging on as seventh defenseman, or I think Beaudin's playing in Austria someplace. Or
I don't think did Beaudin as a first round draft pick. Did he even play? Has he even played in an NHL game?
I
Yeah,
thought
he made it to the NHL.
Did he make it?
I thought he got some time with the Hawks, and then
I think he got like 2 games with the Hawks,
and then he never recovered.
He
played 2. No, that's not true. My bad.
Yeah.
He played 20. He played 22, but that was it.
But yeah, he's
in the
Czech Pro League at 25, so his NHL career is over.
Yeah, now he's in the Czech League.
So anyway,
yeah.
Is there anything else, Jimmy, about any of the troops in Rockford? I know we've thrown out some other names. We've thrown out Doc. Has been doing pretty well, but are there any other players where we should keep an eye out on, or things going on in Rockford that are notable?
As of now, in terms of news in Rockford, not much. I think, Nazar, you got it wrong, Sean. He's actually turning 21 in January, not 23.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
Sean.
Don't worry, Sean. I got his draft year wrong. I'm not very sharp tonight.
Yeah. You're sick. I'm just an idiot, so it's okay.
Intellectual heavyweight. What's going on here?
Yeah. I am. Sometimes it's just too heavy to carry that burden.
Right. Draft year wrong. Same Beaudin never played in the NHL. He played 25 games. Oops.
Hey, you know what? Just say let's pick up Alec Regular again today. You got
he's coming back.
Bring him back.
He's coming back.
I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing really new under the sun. It really is the Nazar, Doc show. Slaggert's playing well. Guys like Gavin Hayes and Savoie are doing really well on the third line.
Sammy.
How's Paul Ladinsky doing? I believe I got into a debate with somebody last year about his viability in the NHL, and somebody told me flat out I was wrong, and he was going to score 50 goals next to Bedard. So,
wow.
40 goals.
Right now, he's purely a fourth line center.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. He doesn't see the ice a lot. He doesn't score. I think he only has like 1 assist. And
he has one
assist.
15 games.
Yeah, he's in and out. He's kind of like Marcel. Kind of can be in the lineup in the fourth line one game, scratch the other.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still young. He's like a lot of these prospects in Rockford, still has a lot to prove. And he's one of those guys that's just waiting for the roster ahead of him to clear up a little bit. With the expected call-ups of guys like Nazar, maybe Doc, maybe Slaggert, maybe there's some room for him to get more minutes. But right now, very protected fourth line role in the NHL. That's probably where he would end up. So
he might be waiting a little longer if Oliver Moore and some of the other draft picks sign after this season.
Yeah. It's
Ryan Green. Yeah.
It's been tough for him. I would say that him and Marcel. It's in the lineup one day, it's out of it the next. Struggling to score, but not horrible. It's just they're not point producers. They eat minutes. They don't make dumb mistakes. Kind of just do what you want for a fourth line guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'll be interesting come when March happens and the NCAA season is over. I mean, how many of those players the Blackhawks are going to try to sign? I mean, Aiden Thompson at Denver is in his junior year. He's 22 years old. He could be signed and be in Rockford.
And I think they tried to sign him.
Did they? Yeah. I mean, Ryan Green, and he's going for another national championship, Aiden Thompson.
Mm.
Ryan Green at Boston University is in his third year. He's a junior there. This is probably his time to sign after that season is over. Does Oliver Moore go back for one more year at the U? He's in his sophomore year, or does he sign? Sam Rinzel, Sean, you just mentioned him as well. Another sophomore. Maybe a junior season for him at Minnesota could be a good thing for him. But again, he's having an outstanding year right now. And so, we all thought Levshinov was going to go right back. And, I think Kyle Davidson's idea is let's get these guys in the system and get them now, and get them marinating in Rockford. So you could see an overhaul of Rockford come the spring. And what are the rules? I think we went over this last year at this time with NCAA signees in Rockford. They can go into the playoffs. They don't have to play a minimum, do they?
I don't believe so.
Landed on there's no league minimum. As long as they're signed, they're signed. Like there's no regular season minimum if they want to be playoff players.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah. But again, I've been missing the mark all night long, so I could be really wrong.
And I think they could even be on ATOs in the playoffs or PTOs, I think. I don't think they have to be on like their ELC.
Well, you could be on a PTO now, go back to your junior team, and then play NCAA hockey.
Yeah.
If you're on a professional tryout agreement, you could play a couple of AHL games and still be NCAA eligible.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I forgot the name of that guy that just signed with Bowling Green.
Right, yeah.
Headed to Bowling Green for next year, and he has 2 AHL games under his belt. But because they were PTOs, he could go back to his junior team and onward. I don't know. Crazy. It's crazy. And then there's these rumors that there's a deal in place for Michael Misa following after his OHL season this year to go to Boston University. Colby Cohen came out and said that is so false. But who knows? Maybe it's true. If Colby says it's false, I'm saying it's true.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
I'd
much rather jump off a building than listen to Colby Cohen.
The most non-plugged in. Yeah. The most non-plugged in guy who thinks he's plugged in.
Yeah.
So
it was Connor Levis who committed to Bowling Green.
Gotcha.
That's from college. I got that from College Hockey News.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Well, good stuff going on in Rockford. Let's hope that Mark Eaton can keep the gravy chain rolling here, and they can keep winning games and stay glued, and hopefully more than anything that Frank the Tank Nazar can keep producing, because that would really be a shame if this coaching change had any effect on his productivity. So good stuff, Jimmy. Appreciate it. So, Sean.
Yes.
Last week, the last game of Luke Richardson's Blackhawks career, as it turned out. Or was it? Did he have one more after the Bruins game?
He was gone on after Wednesday.
That was it. Yeah, right after the Bruins game, he was fired. But it was public knowledge that game would not be blacked out. Then some people were able to watch like 10 minutes in the Chicago area, and then it blacked out.
Yep.
And so originally they said it was going to be blacked out. Then they said, no, we're wrong. It's not blacked out. People are going to be able to watch it tonight. And then 10 minutes into the game, it blacked out for all the locals to not be able to watch a nationally televised Blackhawks game with TNT coverage. The only people that could not watch it were in the Chicago region. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But so what did Jeff Agres of the Sun-Times. He's a sports editor. He's also a media reporter. So I think I need to give him credit because he does a lot of good media stuff too.
There you go.
So they said the game. The NHL controls which games are blacked out and which games are not. The NHL had told who Jeff had heard from that the game would not be blacked out and it would coexist locally with TNT and Max. Or Max, TNT and Max, and then CHSN in Chicago. Now, they had sent that Wednesday or Tuesday night, which is usually, it's the latest it's ever been sent. Usually the league decides at least 48 hours in advance on if they're going to black out a game out for the local market. And the reason the league does black out games in local markets is because they're trying to, drive viewership to the local station, a la CHSN. But it's kind of perplexing in that CHSN has virtually no carriage in the Chicagoland market, aside from DirecTV, Fubo TV, and the antenna, which, as some Blackhawks fans were espousing at the game on Wednesday that I was at, that the antenna coverage is just as bad as it was in the 1990s, 80s. And these people live within the city limits. They lived, I believe, in like the Ravenswood neighborhood. So they're closer than I am, and they're using the antenna, and it didn't work. So then Awful Announcing, the website Awful Announcing, dug into it more, and they said that so the blackout also might have been caused by the fact that some providers just didn't get the information like switched over in time. It's happened years before. There was a Laker game blacked out due to the league deciding late, and then there was an issue with like a zip code where somebody input the zip code wrong in the blackout program, and it blacked out the game, a Laker game in LA. So these things have happened before. So yeah, just another screw job of the Blackhawks Chicago fans not being able to watch the game. Now, what came out today from Jeff was there's a rumor going around that DirecTV is going to make the regional sports networks merge. So, for instance, in Chicagoland, it would be Marquee and CHSN. Now, it's just a rumor right now because there is some language in their agreement in that CHSN's a carriage agreement with DirecTV that references possible consolidation between the regional sports networks, but no timeline. So CHSN, which currently features the Blackhawks, the White Sox, and the Bulls, if they're on DirecTV, they might eventually be forced to merge with Marquee. There's really no timeline, like they said on that. And then Marquee, which is currently on Comcast Sports, or Comcast, the largest cable provider in Chicagoland, 1.3 million subscribers. They currently keep just doing short-term extensions on their deal with Comcast because they do not want to be put in the ultimate tier, which would cost people more money to pay for that service. CHSN, there's been no word on they're still negotiating with Comcast on being put on their cable network because CHSN does not want to be in the ultimate tier. They don't want to do it. So as of right now, there's no progress on if Hawks fans will get the game on cable. And I haven't heard anything. There hasn't been really many reports on it. I don't think CHSN is even negotiating on this anymore. Or if they are, it's so
I don't know. Yeah.
back channel. There's nothing going on. And it's a shame because the Blackhawks are going to lose viewers. We've seen what White Sox fans do in terms of when their team's not good, they don't show up to the ballpark. They usually watch the game at home. Now they're going to have to pay money to do that. The tickets to a Sox game would be cheaper than buying a month subscription to CHSN. So I think this is going to continue. We may never get CHSN on cable, which is alarming. And
so right now there's zero conversation of anything.
Zero conversation of anything.
No, like, let's fix this for anybody. Let's fix it for the fan. Nothing. Let's
nothing.
Everyone just,
nothing.
At least for this year, everyone just needs to deal with it.
Just deal with it. Yep. And it's still kind of off-putting to me as a fan, and I'm sure other fans in the Chicagoland area, that Danny Wirtz made sure to say that we're rewarding season ticket holders the lifeblood of the Blackhawks. Well, season ticket holders only accommodate for so many games. In order to sell out the building, you still need fans to buy single game tickets or walk-ups, and currently they're not selling that much. I believe the attendance, the last game was 19,000 fans. You said, Andy, watching on TV, you didn't think there were that many there. Seemed
right.
like a bunch
didn't
of
look
empty
like
seats.
it. Yeah.
So 19,000 could be paid attendance. It could be those corporate seats that people aren't using, and they're not selling out the building. So it's very disheartening. We're going to continue with this saga, and as Mark Lazarus, love him or hate him, he's done a really good job skewering Danny Wirtz's relationship with Jerry Reinsdorf, because ultimately Lazarus believes, and so do I, that Reinsdorf is steering this media ship. You've seen his mismanagement with the White Sox. You've seen just how he's just trying to extort money from corporate sponsors and things like that. And if I'm corporate people like trying to advertise on CHSN, I am not taking what CHSN is asking for, Because currently, why would I pay money to put an advertisement on a network that nobody watches?
Right.
It's bad business. So that's unfortunately where we're at. Not as far as I usually am, because I'm just kind of melancholy on this now. Like, it's just depressing and sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what else can you say, really?
Yeah. If you're tech savvy,
we can talk about the whys, we can talk about the issues. It's just like nothing's gonna change. There's no.
Yeah. If you're tech savvy enough, get a VPN so they don't know where you're at, and then pay the $7 or $8 a month for ESPN Plus. Yeah. And so you can watch the games like Andy and others watch them out of market, because that's the easiest way and the least cost effective way for local fans.
Yep. Oh man. Well, Shawnee, thank you for being so on this. I mean, I wish it was, something where there were solutions or some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for Blackhawks fans to actually be able to watch their team.
Yeah,
and what a shame. I mean, you assume that the Winter Classic will be viewable, but at this rate, could you imagine
if they black that out? There'd be anarchy.
Yeah, because
that would be the biggest slap in the face. Because the Winter Classic is usually seen by everybody on New Year's. Well, the fact that it's on New Year's Eve this year is a little. I don't get why the league is doing that this year. Usually it's New Year's Day, so I'm not sure why they moved it. But still, like, it should be on NBC or some broadcast over the air station that everybody gets, regardless of what service you have or if you don't have a service.
Yeah.
So if they do that, they're going to lose fans permanently, which costs them, in addition to ticket sales, merchandise sales, everything under the sun.
Amazing. Yeah.
It'll be a case study for some college level course, how to alienate a fan base several years from now. If they want, I'll do a guest adjunct professor session.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Any final thoughts on the evening, fellas, as we wrap up here? Jimmy, you got something?
Yeah, I wanted to take this time to both thank Dana Gray and the Rockford Ice Hawks organization. The day after Thanksgiving, I was actually given a media pass and got to witness the Rockford Ice Hawks home game against the Chicago Wolves and cover their game, cover behind the scenes and a little bit about the arena. And I got to write an article about it. I think it was posted November 30th. I hope everyone gets a chance.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So I have to thank Rockford, their organization, and Dana. It was an incredible honor, and I hope I can get a chance to do it again. To go along with that, this Saturday, Rockford Ice Hawks are having their annual teddy bear toss.
Nice.
So get out there. Make sure you get a chance to join a teddy bear toss. Every time I get to see an organization do one, it always looks like a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm going to try to go out there.
As long as there's not a line brawl, it should be good.
No, I need a line brawl for it. I need to throw a teddy bear at whoever hits Nazar, because I can't let that happen.
Keep him healthy.
Definitely go this weekend. They're playing the Iowa Wild Saturday at 7. That's it's a teddy bear toss game, I believe, and then Sunday, I believe at like 3:30, back-to-back home games to play Milwaukee Admirals. So
wow,
yeah, get out there. I mean,
all right,
that BMO Center, I tell you, I haven't been there since before COVID. They really upgraded that arena. It's nice. It's a real nice place to see some AHL hockey.
Awesome. Well, really good stuff. That's great that you got that pass. And thank you, Dana. Dana, we want you back on the show at some point too. So be ready.
100%. Because that's where the most exciting news is. Although Sorensen's, they're playing in a more exciting brand of hockey. They're at least more active in the 2 games. I mean, 2 games is nothing, but
yeah,
we'll see. But I'm cautiously optimistic.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, the Hawks are back in action 2 nights from tonight against the New York Islanders. Winnable game. So, hopefully they can keep something going. And, Korchinski will play. Again, keep your eyes on Drew Comesso. He might get his first start in the next 2 games. That'll be fun to see how he does. Injuries happen, call-ups happen. We'll see what happens next with the Hawks. But thanks, everyone, for listening in tonight. Appreciate it. And we'll be back next week, hopefully with some more fun stuff. And maybe, who knows? I mean, look what's been going on with this team in a week's time, quite a bit. So we'll see what this the rest of this frame brings. On behalf of Jimmy O'Malley and Sean Fitzgerald, I'm Andy Campbell. Thanks, everyone, for listening tonight. And take care and go Hawks.